Hello, today we're going to talk about the funny history of the Mound. How are you? My name's Tony, welcome to Edinburgh. Yeah, the Mound right behind me, which is a street, a hill, street hill, that joins the old town to the new town. It's got a funny little history with a few little quirky things. So I thought it would just be fun, just a little history video. We've not done just a history video for a little while. And we'll just do the story of the Mound. So let me show you where it is. So here we are. There's Edinburgh Castle right there, and this is the Mound. Heading down towards the galleries here. National Gallery, and I can't remember the name of the other one. Sorry, I know, I'm rubbish. There's Princess Street, there's the Scott Monument right there. So the Mound is essentially just this. It is a mound, but it's a hill. It's a hill, but it's man-made, and this is what makes it quite interesting. It's very much associated or originated with the creation of the new town. So I've got to give you a little bit of history here. I'm going to skip over the years because I can't remember them all off the top of the head, but I'm just being honest. So, the creation of the new town. Edinburgh was a very small, walled-in kind of city. The Royal Mile, the Grassmarket, the Cowgate, and a little bit other areas, and obviously the Royal Mile, Lawnmaker Close, all these sort of things. But everything was very crowded, everything was smelly, it wasn't nice, and it was at a time where Europe was thriving. European cities were growing and they were thriving really, really well. Rome, Paris, London, they were all becoming very fashionable and cosmopolitan, and Edinburgh, being the capital city of Scotland, was not. It was really stagnated. It was not somewhere where people thought about going. It wasn't exciting, it wasn't pretty. I mean, it had a lovely castle, but nobody cared. So the creation of the new town was conceived. There was a competition to design the new town, which originally was just a square right there. It was essentially a Princess Street, George Street, Queen Street, / York Place, and all the streets in between. That was the original new town, with Charlotte Square and St Andrew's Square at the opposite sides. That's how it started, and it grew from there. Anyway, that's the basics. So they started to do a lot of work. All the houses, that was farmland. It was all farmland. There was nothing there. Princess Street Gardens was a loch called the Nor Loch, which again was a man-made loch. I'm saying again, getting ahead of myself. It was a man-made loch, originally to give Edinburgh a bit more of a water source and things. It was a little stream that was blocked off, and then eventually it grew into a loch, which was to give Edinburgh the main source of water. But then that became minging because it was getting all Edinburgh's waste rolling down the hills here, going straight into it. It was also being used to kill witches, and I'm sure there was a lot of other stuff going on in there that just wasn't pretty and it wasn't nice. And so that they decided to drain that, build a bridge over there, and join the old town to the new town. So when they were digging up all of this to start work, it obviously created a lot of rubble and earth and things, and they just started to pile it here. Because Princess Street Gardens, which was the Nor Loch, there was no break in the middle here. It went all the way along. So just to show you what I'm talking about, Princess Street Gardens here with Edinburgh Castle, the west side of Princess Street Gardens. Because I suppose if it wasn't for this, it would be Princess Street Garden, not Gardens. So this part here, the west side, which has got the Ross Bandstand, the Ross Fountain, and all of that there, just down this side, and then the other side where the Scott Monument is, and just at the other side of the gallery, it just went straight through. This wasn't here. They started to dig up all the rubble, and then they just started to place it here, and then it just started to grow. It was a lot of rubble, it was a lot of building. They're completely building, essentially. They were doubling the size of Edinburgh, truthfully, with the building of the new town, with what Edinburgh already was. So all the rubble just started to get placed here, and it got nicknamed of the Mound of Rubble that was there. Now, what they realised was that as it filled in the Holyrood, Princess Street Gardens, the Nor Loch at the time, as it filled it in, that were like, oh, you know what? That's kind of handy. It's kind of useful. It's a second route to the old town, instead of just a bridge, which obviously they were building, but it gave them a second route from essentially the top half of the Royal Mile, or the middle of the Royal Mile maybe, into the new town. So they were like, let's just keep that. That's handy. Let's not clear it, because I think they were originally going to clear it all. They were going to get rid of it. Or maybe they just went, it's a lot of work, isn't it? It's a lot of work to clear all that rubble. It was a lot of work to put it there in the first place. So we're not better just leaving it there. Maybe that's the conversations they had. But they did end up leaving it, and then the mound, because it was a mound of rubble and rubbish, became another way into the old town and into the new town. And to tell you the truth, you can see how many cars and traffic and everything. Well, ironically, when I say this, there's no cars. But it's constant. It's constant. The buses, the cars, and everything, and people walking. It's a direct route from the old town to the new town that, if we didn't have, it would be really difficult. I'm sure they probably would have built another bridge by now if they didn't have it. But it's became one of the main veins as you drive around Edinburgh, and it came because it was rubble. It was rubbish. It was a mound of dirt and rocks, and they went, hey, that's a handy mound of dirt and rocks. However, the other quirky part, you can see that this is actually, well, it's not massively steep, but it has got a little bit of an incline on it there, all the way up there, okay? So I don't know what the difference is from there to up there, but it's not flat. And at one point in Edinburgh, not so much now, Edinburgh used to get really cold at winter. You know, the lochs used to freeze over and people used to ice skate on them, and snow would be maybe not like Canada high snow, but it would definitely be a decent amount of snow. And this became very dangerous for traffic and for people, but mostly for traffic. So in 1959, not a massive amount of time ago, they built an electric blanket. I know this sounds ridiculous, but there's an electric blanket underneath the road that, as far as I'm aware, is still there, because it was way too much work to dig it up again. And if I can find some pictures of them building it, I will put them in now. This was essentially to make the road safer. It was to heat it from underneath, defrost the ice and the snow, and make it a lot safer for traffic. However, it had one small problem. Now, I'm going to assume that it goes all the way up there. It definitely covers all the way here. The issue being, this was really expensive to run. You're talking about heating a street with what is, I know we call it an electric blanket, but truthfully, it's a big radiator. It's a massive radiator that just goes all the way under this street, all the way down. And it was so expensive to run that it hardly ever got used. It hardly ever got used. It's there. It's there, but it never got used. And now it's just one of these little silly facts that a lot of Edinburgh people know. And it's like, you know, that's got an electric blanket underneath it. And people are like, no, don't be silly. But yeah, it's got an electric blanket underneath it. And I'm not 100% where. We're going to have a look for it. But there is a door here somewhere. I've never actually found it, but then again, I've never actually looked for it. There's a door down here somewhere that lets you in to switch it on. Somewhere. So, as we head down here, it's here somewhere. I don't know if it's in by the gallery or if it's in here. I don't think it's in this side. I've got a funny feeling it's there. I've got a funny feeling it might be that little green sort of bit there that seems to go into the hill. That would make sense. Let's see if we can have a little peek. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to see because it's actually, let me zoom in. You can see it's actually kind of long, and because of the building and everything, oh, you now can't see. Because of the building and everything, I can't get the right angle to look in, but that essentially is going in to the hill there. So I'm going to say that in there is the switch to switch on the electric blanket for the mound that we don't use. Isn't that fun? I love that story. It's a funny little story. The mound itself, This might seem like a weird video, but it's a cool history. It's the history of... well, it's the history of building the city. And you know that I enjoy that. Some of you might have thought that's a really weird one to tell us the story of, but I guarantee you're going to tell people that story. You know you are. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that. Please continue to batter the fake Mr. Broonford on Facebook, who is stealing all my content. Please keep reporting it. It would mean the world. It's genuinely upsetting. Genuinely upsetting. But so thank you for all your support with that. But hope you've enjoyed that. If you do, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, you can find me and lots of short stories and things as well, not just here on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, and now on Facebook as well, because I've had to create a Facebook because of the fake one. All my genuine channels are called Clan Broonford. If it's not called Clan Broonford, it's not me. Simple as that. Simple as that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed yourself. Till next time. Bye, humans.